Dexter has stared down cops, killers, and even the ghost of his own brother. He's outmaneuvered FBI agents and dismantled crime rings, but in all his years of calculated survival, he has never faced a threat quite like this. He's never faced his biggest fan. What happens when the one person who knows everything about the Bay Harbor butcher, every victim, every method, every mistake, discovers his idol is living just a stone's throw away? This isn't just another what if. This is the story of how the world's most dangerous predator becomes the prey of his most devoted admirer. A story where the game changes entirely because the man hunting Dexter Morgan doesn't want to kill him, and he doesn't want to arrest him. He wants to know him, and for Dexter, that is a fate far, far worse than death. The setup: a wolf in fans' clothing. To really understand the position Dexter is in, we first need to establish who Leon Prater is in this scenario. Prater isn't just some true crime enthusiast with a podcast. He's a billionaire venture capitalist, a man whose resources are virtually limitless and whose obsessions run deep. He doesn't just study serial killers, he collects them. He hosts them for lavish dinners and gets a second-hand thrill from their exploits. Prater is an expert, and his private collection is basically a museum of murder memorabilia. His prized exhibits, artifacts from cases that define Dexter's story: the ice truck killer, the Trinity killer, and of course, his magnum opus, the Bay Harbor butcher. Given his obsession, Prater's knowledge wouldn't be superficial. He would have read every case file, every news report, every scrap of data. He'd pride himself on knowing the details that law enforcement misses. And this is where our theory diverges from the timeline we know. In our hypothetical, Prater's obsession with the butcher didn't just end with the official story, the one that pinned everything on Sergeant James Dokes. Just like Maria LaGuerta, Prater would have seen the holes in that narrative. He would have recognized that Dokes' profile never fit the butcher's meticulous surgical style. He would have read the reports and seen the name of the blood spatter analyst who was always a little too close to the case: Dexter Morgan. For someone with Prater's obsessive interest, this would be a puzzle he couldn't resist. He'd use his insane wealth to run private investigations, get sealed documents, maybe even bribe some former officials. He would have connected the dots. Dexter's foster brother was the ice truck killer. His wife's suspected killer just disappears. The way trouble always seems to find and then vanish around this quiet lab geek. In our timeline, Prater is in New York, but let's rewind. Let's imagine he's in Miami years earlier, or maybe he follows the whispers about the butcher to Iron Lake. The location doesn't matter as much as the central, chilling fact. Prater knows. He doesn't just suspect, he knows. And one day, through his own careful planning or just dumb luck, he becomes Dexter's new neighbor. The moment of discovery isn't some big, loud event. It's quiet. Maybe Prater sees Dexter through his window, moving with a predator's grace that just doesn't fit his public persona. Or maybe he hacks into some local security feeds. Or, in the most terrifyingly simple version, he just sees him taking out the trash, and in a flicker of movement, he sees the ghost of the man from the grainy photos in his secret files. The Bay Harbor butcher, his hero, and he smiles. The game for Leon Prater has just begun. For Dexter, the life he built is about to be taken apart, not with sirens, but with a friendly wave from across the lawn. The escalation, a symphony of whispers. Dexter's whole world operates on a simple binary: threat or non-threat. His survival depends on it. But Leon Prater doesn't fit into a neat category. He doesn't have the aggression of Dokes or the institutional threat of LaGuerta. He just seems like an eccentric, friendly, slightly awkward neighbor who brings over an expensive bottle of wine. But Dexter's instincts, the ones he's trusted his whole life, are screaming. There's something in Prater's eyes, a sharp, analytical focus that seems to see right through Dexter's mask. The dark passenger is stirring, not with bloodlust, but with a cold, unfamiliar dread. This isn't a victim. This is something else. The game starts subtly. Prater's attacks are psychological. The first move happens during a casual chat over the fence about a recent boating accident. Prater says, "It's amazing what the ocean hides, isn't it? All those secrets just drifting in the Gulf Stream. Think of all the garbage bags that must get lost out there." The words just hang there, innocent, but for Dexter, they're a fucking gunshot in a library. Garbage bags, the exact disposal method of the Bay Harbor butcher, a detail that wasn't widely publicized but would be buried deep in the case files. Dexter keeps his composure, a lifetime of practice holding the mask in place. But inside, an alarm is blaring. He probes, "You seem to know a lot about this stuff." Prater just laughs it off. "Oh, just a hobby, true crime. You'd be surprised what you can learn. The Bay Harbor butcher case, for example. Fascinating. The official story is full of holes, don't you think? Dokes never felt right for it. Too loud. The butcher was quiet, an artist. He looks right at Dexter with something that looks like reverence. Dexter feels a chill. Prater isn't just a fan. He's a scholar, and Dexter is his thesis. The next move escalates things. A package shows up on Dexter's doorstep. No return address. Inside, on black silk, is a single, antique, straight razor. With it, a small card that reads, "A tool for a master craftsman. Thought you might appreciate the history." Dexter's blood runs cold. He recognizes the maker's mark. It's the same brand Arthur Mitchell, the Trinity killer, used. A detail so obscure, so buried in the sealed FBI files that only someone with incredible resources could have found it. This is a message. "I know about Trinity. I know what you did." The friendly neighbor mask is gone, replaced by an all-knowing, obsessive voyeur. Prater isn't just hinting. He's speaking Dexter's secret language. The paranoia Dexter has kept in check for years starts to break free. He sweeps his home for bugs, checks his car for trackers, and watches the shadows for Prater. He is being hunted, not by the law, but by a ghost from his own past living next door. The breaking point comes a week later. Dexter knows he has to get inside Prater's house to understand the full scope of this threat. He bypasses the high-tech security, moving like a phantom. The house is immaculate, minimalist, cold. But one door at the end of a hall is different, reinforced. A vault. Dexter works the lock, his mind racing. He swings the heavy door open, steps inside, and his world just stops. It's not an office, it's a shrine. The room is a museum dedicated to his life's work. On one wall is a massive, detailed map of Miami Bay, with red pins marking every Bay Harbor butcher dump site. On another, framed clippings about the ice truck killer with his own photos circled. Display cases hold trophies, a piece of wood from a victim's boat, a soil sample from a grave, things even he had almost forgotten. And then he sees it. On a velvet pedestal, under a single spotlight, is the centerpiece, his original box of blood slides. The very box Dokes found, the one LaGuerta recovered, the one that should be locked in an FBI evidence vault. Prater must have bought them off a corrupt agent. Dexter feels a wave of vertigo. This is an impossible level of intrusion. As he stares at his life's work, cataloged like a butterfly collection, he hears a soft click from a speaker. Prater's voice, calm and gentle, fills the room. Incredible, isn't it, to see it all laid out like this? The sheer scope of the project. "I have to say, Dexter, I am your biggest fan." Dexter freezes. He wasn't discovered. He was led here. The disabled alarm, the unlocked door, it was an invitation, a trap designed not to harm him, but to reveal the terrifying depth of Prater's obsession. For the first time, Dexter realizes he's no longer in control. The man in the speaker holds all the cards. The question is, what game does he want to play? This is a turning point no one in Dexter's world has ever faced. He is completely, utterly known by an outsider who isn't a cop or a killer. What do you think Dexter's next move should be? Does he run? Does he try to turn the tables? Or is Leon Prater destined for a plastic-wrapped room? Let me know your theories in the comments below, and if you're enjoying this deep dive into the psyche of our favorite serial killer, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because the next move in this deadly chess match is one you won't want to miss. The climax, the taming of the fan. Trapped in the shrine, Dexter's mind races. The code is screaming. Prater knows everything. He is a threat. He must die. It's the only way to guarantee silence, protect Harrison, and fix this. He can already picture it. The clean kill room, the new blood slide, the satisfying splash into the ocean. Problem, solution. But as Prater's voice continues from the speaker, a new unsettling thought works its way in. Killing Prater might not be the solution. In fact, it might be the biggest fucking mistake he could possibly make. Prater isn't a lone wolf. He's a billionaire with immense power. A man this meticulous, this obsessed, would have contingencies, a dead man's switch, an email set to deliver a complete dossier on Dexter Morgan to every news outlet and law enforcement agency in the country the moment he goes silent. Killing Prater wouldn't bury the secret, it would broadcast it to the world. For the first time, Dexter faces a threat that can't be solved on his table. His primary tool is useless. He's disarmed, exposed, cornered. The dark passenger is thrashing, useless and enraged. "Don't look so grim, Dexter," Prater's voice says, as if reading his mind. "I'm not going to expose you. Why would I destroy my own hero? Think of me not as an enemy, but as a patron, a collector, and you are my Michelangelo." The statement is insane, but in it, Dexter sees an opening. Prater doesn't want him dead or in jail. He wants to observe. This grotesque hero worship is Prater's weakness, and Dexter, a master manipulator, knows the only way to beat an obsession is to feed it, to control it. A new plan forms. He can't kill Prater, but he can use him. Turn this fan into an asset. Dexter takes a deep breath and walks to the intercom. His voice is steady. "What do you want, Leon?" Prater's chuckle is full of genuine delight. "I want to understand. I want to watch. There's a man, a truly vile human trafficker I've been tracking. He fits your code, Dexter, perfectly. Think of it as a commission. This is the test. If he refuses, Prater might talk. If he complies, he's a puppet. But there's a third option. He can play the part, but write his own script." "Send me the file," Dexter says. Over the next week, they form an unholy alliance. Prater provides a file on the trafficker that's better than anything Miami Metro could compile. Prater has become his personal, high-tech intelligence agency. Dexter performs his ritual. He stalks the target, confirms his guilt, prepares the kill room, but he knows he's being watched. Prater has cameras everywhere. He's an audience, so Dexter gives him the performance of a lifetime. He makes the kill look clumsy, fumbles a syringe, lets the victim struggle more than usual. He leaves a tiny trace of evidence, not enough to point to him, but enough to look like a mistake. He plays the part of a killer losing his edge under pressure. He then meets with Prater, who is ecstatic. "It was magnificent, a bit messy perhaps, but the passion," Dexter feigns agitation. "It's you," she says. "Your presence. Knowing you're watching. It's affecting the ritual. It's making me careless." He plants the seed, the observer effect. By watching the art, Prater is tainting it. Dexter explains that the process requires absolute solitude. Any external variable leads to mistakes. Mistakes lead to getting caught. "If I get caught, Leon," Dexter says, looking him dead in the eye, "your collection becomes worthless. Your hero gets put in a cage, and the art dies." He can see the conflict in Prater's eyes, the desire to watch warring with the fear of destroying his idol. Dexter presses his advantage. He proposes a new deal. Prater can continue to be his benefactor, providing targets and resources. He can be the architect, but he cannot watch. The act itself must remain sacred, private. Prater hesitates, but his collector's instinct, his desire to preserve his prized possession, is stronger. Reluctantly, he agrees. Dexter has turned the tables. He took the leash Prater tried to put on him and wrapped it around Prater's own neck. He's no longer the puppet. He's the puppet master, feeding his fan just enough to keep him useful. Prater thinks he's a patron of the arts, but he's become something else entirely. Dexter's quartermaster. He has neutralized the threat not with a knife, but with a narrative. The resolution, a new code for a new world. The uneasy truce settles into a bizarre, stable new normal. Prater, now a silent partner, finds satisfaction in his new role. He becomes Dexter's personal oracle, his obsession now focused on finding the perfect targets. Corrupt politicians, untouchable mobsters, predators beyond the reach of the law. He delivers these names in meticulous dossiers, seeing himself as the man who points the sword of justice. Dexter's world is transformed. He's no longer limited by Miami Metro's clumsy investigations. He has a purpose-driven, highly efficient system. The code of Harry begins to evolve. It gets more ambitious. With Prater's resources, he hunts bigger game with an impact he never thought possible. The Dark Passenger isn't just sated, it's being used with terrifying efficiency. He's weaponized his own fan. However, this new dynamic leaves a mark. The relationship with Prater is a constant, low-grade stress. He can never relax, knowing his freedom depends on manipulating a deeply unstable man. The mask he wears for the world now has another mask just for Prater. This secret inevitably affects his relationship with Harrison. The paranoia forces Dexter to be more distant and guarded. He carries the weight of his own darkness and this dangerous pact. How could he ever explain that their life is being directed by a man who worships the monster inside him? The fundamental change is this: his greatest threat becomes his greatest asset. The cat and mouse game turns into a symbiotic relationship. Dexter is no longer just a lone predator. He's one half of a secret, deadly enterprise. He has traded the constant threat of exposure for a gilded cage, where he is free to kill, but never free from the man who holds the key. The story shifts from will Dexter get caught to how long can Dexter control the fan who knows everything before that admiration turns into something far more possessive and far more dangerous. So Monster is still there, but now he has a sponsor, and that creates a far more terrifying chapter than any he had faced before. So, what have we learned? The introduction of a character like Leon Prater, driven not by law or a competing darkness, but by pure fandom, completely upends Dexter's world. It proves the most dangerous threat isn't always the one with a gun or a badge. Sometimes it's the one holding a mirror, forcing our anti-hero to confront his own legend. Dexter's greatest skill was never the kill, it was manipulation. And in this scenario, he pulls off his greatest performance, turning the man who could have destroyed him into a vital part of his machinery. It's a chilling evolution from a story of survival into a dark fable about power, control, and obsession. But could Dexter have truly kept Prater on a leash forever? The possibilities are endless. But what do you think? Is this a brilliant masterstroke or the beginning of an even bigger downfall? Let me know your own theories and what-if scenarios in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor and butcher that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.